It was emotional. Look, I know, I've said to all of you before, I have no doubt this is the right time for me, for my party, government, country, but of course it's emotional. The last 8 years have been the best in my life. As I've just said in there, I'll never do anything as important or as special as this again, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I'm proud of my record. I, of course, have made mistakes. There are things I wish I'd done differently or better, but I'm proud of the record, and I look forward to seeing my successor build upon it as I take my place on the back benches. I don't know, actually. Pretty emotional. You possibly struggled a bit more than I hoped I would to not shed a few tears in there. I think particularly what I'm feeling right now, and I felt this when I was thanking people without whom I would not have lasted any time as First Minister. You know, ultimately, the job that I do is the highest office in the land, but it's still fundamentally about people, and the hardest part of this decision is the people I'm going to miss, not seeing every single day.
Sorry. First Minister, certainly some emotion, no tears quite, but do you leave with any regrets?
Oh look, you know, show me a human being or a politician or a government minister that doesn't have regrets, and I show you somebody that's not properly human.
What's your biggest one?
Look, I'm not going to do that today.
No independence?
I would love to have been the leader who took Scotland to independence, but I think I've said this to many of you as well. For me, I've campaigned for independence literally since I was 16 years old. For me, attaining independence is much, 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 much more important than the person who leads us there, and I have no doubt Scotland will become independent. So, you know, I'll have time to reflect at leisure on my time in office. I'm sure many of you will continue to reflect on that time. I'm proud. I won't go through them. I've said in there some of the things I'm proudest of. This has been a privilege. It's been a privilege every single day. You know, I have led Scotland through a period in our history that nobody would have chosen. COVID shaped the country, I think, in ways that we probably don't yet fully understand. It shaped me. It has undoubtedly changed me as a person, and I think when we look back, it will be seen to have defined my time as First Minister. So, you know, and that created that really difficult time for everybody. And I've said before, my job was not the toughest in the country by any stretch of the imagination. But I felt during that period a bond with the Scottish people that sustained me, and I hope it helped the country through.
Do you have regrets about how the party's been?
No, I have great confidence in the future of my party. I think I alluded to this in there, but I didn't tell the full story. Forgive me if some of you have heard this story before. I went to my first ever SNP meeting in the volunteer rooms in Irvine in the Cunningham South constituency in 1986. And I always remember that meeting because it was my first, but everybody there was on a high because is there anybody here from the Herald? The System 3 opinion poll had come out that day and we were at 12%. And the reason everybody was on a high, it was the first time in ages we'd been in double figures. My party has come such a long way, and it's come such a long way through hard work, serving Scotland and being a team, solidarity and unity. And, you know, even in the last few days when there's been hyperbolic phrases used about collapse and all sorts of things, you know, you look at most opinion polls and they still show the SNP way ahead of anyone else. Now, my successor should not take that for granted. I have never taken that for granted, but I have real confidence in whoever my successor is to continue to build on the success of the party and the government. But to do that, they must remain focused on the interests and the priorities of people across the country.